Hi, everybody. This is Joanna. What a gorgeous day. Look at that. Gorgeous day. Yeah. I wanted to talk about in our ascension healings and wisdoms, something that our collective will be moving through, that we've been moving through for some while, but now that we're our mass awakenings in this new frequency that we're stepping into 5D, and many are still awakening through the 3 and 4D. The 4D is that big emotional realm in which we get to feel everything we've felt in all the lifetimes that we've come here from. Remember that we're multidimensional beings, healing the 4 lower bodies, physical, mental, emotional, and etheric. And in that, we harmonize with the higher vibrational bodies, creating the sacred geometry, ever allowing us to move up and out into expansive co-creative realities and realms and dimensions. Remember, dimensions are vibrational frequencies of experience that we are gifted and offered when we've moved through the understanding of who we are within the law of one, who we are as spirit creating matter, so that we're understanding the laws in which we create within and under. And part of that is, especially on this planet, in which is unlike any other in our universe, because it allows us the greatest expansiveness for understanding duality, polarity, harmonizing everything that we've ever been through, and creating the allness of who we are as spirit, the alignment of our higher self, so that we create from the heart space for the greater good. And we've offered such terms like socio-altruism to understand that really our co-creation is of our one heart, and how we can honor one another and respect one another and co-create in higher vibrational ways, not only in the manifestations that each and every one of us want, but in the healing modalities that our new societies and new communities will be choosing to live within, in greater honor of homeopathy, in greater honor of altruistic healing, organic healing, while also using traditional medicines, of course, taking all that we've learned and expanding upon it and making it great and making it new. Remember, releasing anything that we need to put definitions and boxes around. To align with the Christ consciousness is allowing us to know that we are infinite codes of light, as we're releasing the densities through the belief systems, the patterns, the ideals, the psyche wounding of the familial patterning, socio-patterning, dogma, and all of the things that have held us in boxes and limitations and limitation, and opening into all that we exist within, what exists within us, and who we truly are as infinite spirits of light, that all of the masters came here to offer us in their own unique ways, in their own unique journeys with humanity, with Gaia. So our oneness within all that we are, the sovereignty that's been so very important, understanding the glow of your own self-responsibility, that you don't need anything outside of you to determine who you are, the value of you, the guidance that you create within yourself for you, aligning with that higher self, becoming the higher self in all moments, releasing and healing all of those energies and patterns that we've had for lineages and eons, codependency, and many of the dysfunctions that we've all grown up within, and we've all played parts in various roles within. And so the awakening process to expand who we are, especially because understanding that we are emotional beings creating. That's how we manifest us. We use our multidimensional bodies to manifest. How we're feeling in every moment. We're vibrational beings means everything. Our vibrational body creates and manifests and calls things to us, because we live in an experience where it's based on magnetics of our vibration, our core vibration. And why it's so important, as we say all the time, to co-create within an experience of daily self-care, so that you're honoring your emotional body, clearing out what needs to be cleared out, journaling any reflections that you get from your dreams, and keeping in that close communionship and that leadership in your own self-guidance system, and honoring your physical, your mental, emotional, etheric body, so that you and you unto yourself, with source, creator, your guides, and your soul, are moving in this self-sovereignty experience, so that we're not swayed by what occurs on the outside. Circumstances don't matter. It's what's going on within you, your state of being. And something occurred this morning, and I wanted to share it with you because it's going to be very relevant and very, I'm just going to get my little drawing here. I've got to get new photocopies of everything. I heard something this morning, and the various experiences that are awakening up on our planet because of, and I'll say one or two things. Two things that I've heard that I didn't go into any of the stories. I vibrationally felt into it, and then I asked my teams about it. And the second one was a beautiful experience of new species that are being found because of our experience of consciousness. Remember, there's an infinite number of Earths that each and every one of us exists within, based on the vibration of our core. Who are we? And the core of who we are, our consciousness level. The more awakened we are, the more exploratory we are, the more expansive we are in our excitement to be spirit, we open to the greater expansiveness of who we are as spirit, tapping into things, honing things, the codes in the field, expressions in the field, information in the field, intelligence in the field, or communication processes that are multidimensional. We open up to that. And just as they told me a couple of years ago, the metaphor about, those that look through those telescopes to view star systems, their consciousness and their heart structure and who their core vibration is can allow them to see through what they are and what their consciousness has been, what they choose their consciousness level to be at. And because the heart is the actual mechanism that sees, their consciousness level will only see what their consciousness level is at. So they see only where they're at consciously. So the more that they expand into seeing the universe themselves, all that they are as the omnipresent and source creator, how they see the world, how they perceive things, and then harmonizing with the textbook instruction and doctrine can be a greater perspective than simply only going by doctrine and staying within that limited perspective. So consciousness is everything. Consciousness creates, and you create the consciousness through your own free will to expand and seek within it and explore within it and experience within it. And so, and that has to do everything with the raising consciousness on our planet was now creating these new species, whether it's flowers, whether it's herbs, whether it's species in our oceans and in our forests, and new forests and new life will be cropping up because our consciousness is asking for it. Our consciousness is saying, we're ready to play with you in different ways. We want to see you in a different way. So raising our vibration affects everything. Remember, it's micro, macro, all. But another thing that came up that's really important that we wanted to talk about, we're going to talk about it often so that we're getting used to responding as spirit. And this it's practice, it's mastery practice, because it will be required for the many things as our consciousness raises as a collective. Many of the things that are being lifted from the fixed realities that we've come from, that were very hidden and dense and hidden under many veils, if you will. The frequencies of things that we didn't want to look at, accept, or know that were going on underneath the veils. As our consciousness raises, there's going to be many things come forward that will not be comfortable for the human collective to deal with. And part of my experience and part of my background was going through the 51 years of many injustices and different things that had occurred to me, because that I would be a part of creating solutions and resolve in a higher vibrational way into infrastructure and systems that require it to be seen in that way, not to infuse similar outdated patterns of judgment, demeaning experiences into systems that really need to be broken open, to be expanded and light bathed into it, to see it from a higher perspective and create modalities for resolve, higher resolve, for the greater good, for all. And so part of those discomforts was a post that I had seen about some of the disturbances coming from a part of our world and many of the abuses that had occurred in the country. And those that have been held captive in those abuses. And that got me in reflection of, many of the timelines that I'd experienced and able to tap into from some of my own clearing and cleansing in many of the understandings, and why I've often taught about it and offered it as the collective healing of subjugation, because this article was in direct relationship to the subjugatory abuses that occur to women. And how those abuse of control and abuse of leadership and abuse of power have caused great harm and great tragedy, and what it leads to if it continues. And so what it brought to me was a reflection with my teams, and I'd asked them, as I was just holding space for what I was seeing and hearing, is compassion for those that had experienced what they'd experienced. And then it brought tears and compassion, just great compassion for what these women had experienced. because I'd experienced it in my visionary work, my clearing work, and some of my own personal experiences. Of course, not to that effect in my visionary states I had, but in my personal physical experience. And this is why when we return to our multidimensional allness, and many of you awaken, and many of you go through these experiences where you manifest things in your current reality to trigger you, to call up those memories, and so that you can clear them and make sense of them, if you will, on who you are now, to honor and gift yourself compassion and gift yourself renewal of who you are, renewal of compassion and honor of who you are, and clear out those densities of dishonor and disrespect for your bodies and subjugation that was taken to great abuse, to clear and make peace with those experiences, and do it in a way so that you're processing the energy in a balanced and masterful way, as opposed to reacting and flipping off, which many do because the traumas are just so unusual and uncomfortable. And why? That many of these experiences that are coming to the forefront are coming to the forefront right now because we have the mastery to deal with them in new ways. And this is why Spirit has always shown me that you're never given anything more than what you're able to resolve at a higher vibrational level. But it takes mastery that we resolve it from that heart center space, living in that heart service to yourself. Because then you can respond to it and process it through your heart, which is what they told me. I said, well, how can I process what I've just seen and heard, knowing that I've just come out of an experience where I was just healing many timelines of subjugation and so on and so forth. And knowing that I'm very passionate about creating greater resolve for children and women all over the world that have experienced, even more traumatic things. And they said, well, process it through your heart. What are you feeling? And I was processing the information, and I was allowing the energies that were still resolving within me of, unnecessary pain and anger, that many will feel when many of these collective things come up. But to do it, process it in a way that you can sit back in your mastery. I'm already clearing. And when we're hearing these things on the news, and when we're hearing these things and they fly across our screen on an ad, that we open in response to process it in a masterful way, and not reacting as we did in the old way, as I always, I'm the first one to say that I would create a judgment on it. And so it's really important that when these things come up in our collective, it's a part of our own healing from all the timelines that we've been co-creating within. Many of the timelines that we've had here on Earth, the timelines that we've had here on Earth, all is a concurrent now. And so the many multidimensional timelines that each and every one of us has been a part of creating subjugation, whether we were the ones being controlled and sexually abused, or whether we were the ones that were doing it on any and all timelines in any and all realms and planets, it doesn't matter. But what's important is that when we see these things come up in our collective, that we center within who we are, understanding that it's a part of the collective whole that we are healing for one another. And to do it in a way that we're processing it through our heart and breathing through it. And surrendering judgment, surrendering our old attitudes and beliefs. It's really, 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 really important. The more that we do that, we surrender all of these judgments and all of these hateful reactions, which just continue and perpetuate those cycles into the collective. Whereas when we pause and we process it through our heart, we're surrendering the discomfort of whatever comes up, because there will be interactions through which, if you've attracted to see something in your reality, there's something that's a part of any of your multidimensional realities that you're here to heal. So how do you do that? Without returning to those egoic states that damn and judge and demean and put more hateful energy into the collective through judgment, through separation. So it's bringing, why control and why subjugation exists is because of control. It's all about one over the other, winning and losing. I've got to have control to make me feel better. And all of those wounds that occur at the deepest psyche level. And it's not about saying right or wrong. It's about healing those wounds so that it doesn't continue. The only way to do that is through pausing, honoring the feelings and the emotions that come up. Because if you've created that reflection in your reality, there's something for you to heal within it somewhere. It could be just holding space and offering compassion and love for all involved. So it's really important that we really take heed on how we respond to the things that will be coming up from our collective unfolding of the veils coming open, because there will be many things that have been, I guess we could say hidden, but it's not really hidden because we all kind of know what's going on behind closed doors, and it's just too uncomfortable for people to deal with. And it's just, how some of these things are funded will cause some concern and some shock, the shock and awe. And why it's really important that as often as possible to heal our collective is those that are light workers, that truly hold themselves as leaders, to be the ones that show others to release judgment and just process the information through your heart. Because there will be some information that comes forward as a very big collective issue that is hard to process. And if it's processed through ego, then it could create even more energies of, great dysfunction. And it doesn't need to be. So it's really important that whatever we see come across our screen and whatever we see in our reality that comes forward to us, that we've manifested it so that we can honor it and process it through our hearts. To know that we are a part of a collective family that requires a lot of compassion, a lot of forgiveness, and a lot of empathy for everyone's journey that they've come to experience, so that we can allow the highest level of compassion, so that we can create the highest resolve. We can't create a higher resolve when we're judging and demeaning it and bashing it to being right or wrong. And, the justice system has its place, and there will always be that part of the consequence, if you will. But what we need to do as the collective is to process everything from here on out from our hearts, because we need to at some point understand that we are a one family. And how can we continue to bring a beautiful higher vibrational homeostasis to things that are coming up out of our the undercurrents that have been hidden, and how can we bring it to light in the most highest compassionate, most elegant way, so that it affects the highest vibrational healing for all. And the reason why I'm saying that is because some of what will come out will be directly related to the children of our collective. And what the children require from us is that highest level of compassion, so that they're not seeing everyone in the collective react in barbaric, chaotic ways and through disrespecting judgment. They need to see us respond with unconditional love and show them the compassion that is required, and respond in a way that is equal to their honor of who they are. I mean, all are children of God, source creator. And many of us will have differing experiences of what's going on inside of us, because we've all been a part of such experiences at a multidimensional level. And sometimes we can't understand it, because in this lifetime, perhaps we might not have gone through something so traumatic. But there is those threads there for each and every one of us to heal. Subjugation at some level, where we have been controlled in some way, or we haven't agreed with the rules and the regulations that we've been given. Whatever it might be, at some level, we are all here to heal it and clear it, to bring it up to its highest standard and honor all with the highest level of respect, so that we can create healing systems and creative expression systems for the deepest healing that will occur at a multidimensional level for all involved. Any type of control, like we've said before, that is any type of control that is placed onto any person, when we've talked about this, the right use of will, is so important as we reach into 5-dimensional understanding of who we are as Christic beings. And we say Christic outside of the dogma that we've known to experience, and what many get triggered by when they hear the Christ. The Christ consciousness is our highest vibration of Metatronic light. The codes of the Metatron that Jesus, the Master, came here to show us of our infinite potentiation. It was then written under dogma, and it was then written and defined under certain religions. But his offering originally came from the highest essence of who we are as beings of light, as Metatronic codes of light, the essence of source in matter form. And it's okay if there's belief systems outside of that, and it's okay if people choose to believe whatever they want to believe, because that's free will. And this is my interpretation of what I've been shown from the masters that I work with in the heavenly councils, so that we have a higher vibrational understanding of who we are, what we exist within, and what exists within us. And it's not defined or pocketed and limited to and sealed in, encased within any limiting perspective of what source creator knows of us, the infinite beings of micro, macro, source creator, love, light. Not to be feared. God is not to be feared. God is the all of the most gentle, subtle, miraculous love of all creation. You know, and it's up to each person to feel into on their own, in their own way, on what's right for them. You know, there's no right or wrong. This is what we're getting to. There's no right or wrong about anything. It's all a neutral story for us to be the most highest level of compassionate beings that we are able to be, to become, to be the essence of compassion. It's taking us out of that third dimensional reality where we've judged, we've devalued, we've separated, and we've put separate. And for us to honor the deep wounds that have occurred for those things and those experiences and those events to even occur. There's wounding on every level of it. So how do we get to the bottom of that at a compassionate level? Not by just separating and putting everybody in their own separate boxes and saying, there you go, it's all resolved. No, we've got to bring it to the highest level and have healing systems for all. Because everybody's DNA is affected at every level. Everybody's light center is affected at every level. And when there is subjugation placed on any being, it affects the DNA, the evolution of the DNA. It affects the physical, the mental, the emotional, the etheric. It affects everything. We are allowing ourselves through the heart space, through the heart is the highest mechanism that we have in creation as a human being, to allow the highest vibrational information, because it's in direct alignment of your higher self and all of the heavenly councils that allow you to process very difficult emotions. And then breathing through those difficult emotions so that you can then respond from your higher self's perspective and say, what did that mean for me? And then journal it, express it through creative painting or writing. Instead of the ego reaction or the ego judgment that we just spew, energy back into the collective, which just continues those hateful, damaging experiences. And that's fine too, because everybody's learning their own way to process these things that are now coming forward for us to deal with in a higher vibrational way. But we've got to look at it and approach it from the most compassionate level, because that's what the children really require from us. They really require that release of hate and damage. That will be the natural response, because we're still moving out of those three-dimensional patterns and egoic psyche wounds that all of us are here to heal. And that's why it's going to be an incredible soul's ride. An incredible ride for the soul, so that we can expand in those arenas that require humanity to grow the most in compassion for the children. Right? For the children to see our abundance of compassion and approach it from a level that they understand. Through compassion, the heart of the child is compassionate. It's adoring, it's innocent, it's pure. And that is the vibrational frequency that is in alignment with our codes, our Christic grids, our Christic earth now. We're operating in new templates, therefore we must align in new ways. Whether it's about things that happen in other parts of the world that we're drawn to because we want to help be a part of the resolve. Infrastructure and jobs and companies that are not operating within integrity and the abuse of power that many companies are operating within. And it will have their own ways of shifting out, because as light bathes, awakening will bathe everything and everyone. And so those that do not operate within integrity of a balance of power, benevolence to the all greater good, then those experiences will come forward to be shaken up and to be given the opportunity to shift and change into a heart-centered space. And that's what it's all about. It's not about, this is what source creator, had offered me. It's not about the damning of the right and the wrong and the dark and the light and all of that. It's about honoring that heart space and saying, how can you be offered the light once again and return to your heart and know that you didn't have to create those experiences for yourself. because we don't know the soul's journey for each and every person. Every person that creates choices that others would deem as right or wrong, if you will, they required that reflection to create that higher compassion. And it's a part of that soul's journey for everyone to be a part of the love that will be resolved in it. Does that make sense? So, but it takes mastery, and this is why it's such an important topic that we start talking about it, that we start feeling into it, because there will be many things, and just as over the years there has been, but over the next year it's going to be a lot greater, because the bathing and the mass awakenings, I mean, it's like, you know, it will be like night and day, and there'll be a lot for humanity to work through and sift through and sort through. And we can't simply just brush it under the carpet and wait for others to look after it. This is what socio-altruism is all about. It's about each and every one of us. How can I be a part of this collective healing? Because on another timeline, it was you. On another timeline, it was your children. On another timeline, it was a part of you. And at some point, there will be that clearing for each and every person to move through, because it affects us all. We're a family of one. So this is where we're offering, when we see things and we hear things, take that 5-second pause to breathe and drop your consciousness to your heart. Process the information from your heart, and that's just through intention. I choose to process this information through my heart space. What does this mean for me? And then you'll feel the triggers in any one of your chakras or your fields, depending on what you're able to feel into and sense. And just sit in silence before you respond and react. If you're giving yourself the time to respond, then you won't react. That's the difference. And that's how you know you're living more and more as spirit. And just feel it. And then you'll have your teams come through with these beautiful, profound, elegant moments of compassion. You are here to infuse the highest and create heaven upon earth through love and forgiveness and compassion and empathy for all involved, so that they can walk away in a new lifetime, in a new body, in a new month or 2 years from now, a year from now, and all can be healed, and all can create the greater light, and all can be atoned, and all can have forgiveness, and all can have rebirth, and all can have resurrection. You see what we're saying? We're not operating in the worlds we used to operate in. And yes, it's going to take time to sort out new systems of light and how we honor this new experience, because it's new. We've never been here before. But in that process, we do have the free will within each of us to allow ourselves to offer compassion in our responses, as opposed to damning and judging and neglect in our reactions. That's a huge difference upon the collective energy that we are here co-creating, so that we don't see any more of the abuses that occur. Because every thought and every word and every way we react and respond, is it in the response and the integrity through which we are source? We are presentations of light. So how we respond and how we act and how we behave, everybody's on this journey. And certainly nobody is going to be perfection at it. That's not the goal, and that's not the, you know, they're saying, Master Jesus, thank you. It's not the, you know, he said, I didn't come to you to emulate what you know to be in your reality as perfection. You know, because our ideology of a 3D perfection is not what source is perfection. I mean, it's all inclusive of course, but perfection meaning that as often as possible, living with that unconditional loving heart and honoring the ride that is within it all. And it takes practice and mastery. That's why we're here. Otherwise, we would be 8th dimensional consciousness walking around as light, which there are right here, right now. But we came for the physical journey so that our souls could grow and heal those 3 to 5 dimensional programs that have been held in subjugation and abuse and, you know, imprisonment. And so each and every one of us will be a part of healing it, because we're a collective one. And so how each and every one of us respond and react and speak and behave is a part of the collective healing. So to choose words that serve, to choose responses that serve when we've had time to breathe and center, when we've had time to sift through and be one step ahead, if you will. Is there anything going on within me in that part of that daily self-care? Is there anything going on within me so that I can be one step ahead of anything that might unfold in the collective, so that I'm going to create a response that's loving and compassionate, and I can be one of the ones that holds space for collective chaos and whatever unfolds in the circumstances from our unfolding and our healing and our shaking up of the density and our shaking up of inappropriateness at whatever level it's coming through in our socio-systems. And that's important. It's really, really important. And not to like many of us have done for so many years before we awakened. It was like, okay, well, that's somebody else's job. It's not my problem because it didn't affect someone in your family, but it really did. You know, it affected you and you just haven't remembered it yet because you haven't awoken to it yet. And then all of a sudden you have these dreams that pull out those memories from you from another timeline, another childhood. And if it was an experience that you had forgotten, because it was so deep, and it affected you, and perhaps not, but it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it matters because we're one. We're one. So our responsiveness in who we are as light to our family really matters, and it matters to Gaia. She feels everything. The children will feel our responses of love and compassion and holding space when those experiences come out for resolve. How as a collective will we resolve those experiences? And as as the Arcturian said the other day, we're here to take things to a higher vibrational experience and not to, vandalize and create those ego reactions that we've all come from and we've all been experiencing for, back in the area of the peace. Right? But this is for each and every one of us, not to debate right or wrong, to be neutral and say, well, how can I, as a responsible, conscious, awake, present being, create my version of my reality so that I'm offering my vibrational resolve in a higher vibrational oneness. And you just reserve judgment. You reserve your, ego reactive comments that, just place negativity. And you're calling it back to thyself and resolving it with thyself, resolving it with thyself, resolving it with thyself. And we've all been there, every one of us. This is new, and they're big stuff that's coming, and we've got to do it in a way that we don't trash and vandalize government and corporate buildings. We resolve it from the highest vibrational way, as Jesus would do, as the masters would do, as Buddha would do. And it's not, the circumstances don't matter. It's about your state of being. But that state of being is requiring our presence at heart to process a lot of this information, making sure that we're creating daily self-care, honoring ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and etherically, encouraging the children to do that as well, so that they also have the opportunity to process the information, because they will feel the vibrations, they will see the news, they will hear things, and we have to allow ourselves preparation to ensure that we are allowing for a very confident and clear experience of our oneness of spirit. We've got this, we'll figure it out, and we'll do it in a way that's compassionate, we'll do it in a way that's honoring, we'll do it in a way so that everyone is heard and everyone is honored, and we're coming up with the highest resolve so that it doesn't happen again in our collective. Because the children are powerful, precious little beings, and we need to honor their experiences and their feelings and their expressions and their explorations of what's going on. As well as the aged too, and my teams were showing me this last week with a client, is that the aged are requiring a unique experience for ascension. And sometimes we often forget that, because many of us were the ones on the front line, and we're kind of creating what we can in our own unique way to offer whatever information and inspirations that we can to create resolve, positive resolve, and positive oneness and unity, coming together as a collective family, because we all have the gifts for positive resolve. There's no question about it. The heavens are saying, you guys have everything you need. You guys are so well equipped. You are so well prepared. We really, really are. There is nothing that we have created that we cannot resolve in the highest manifestational, fifth dimensional way. We've got this. But it takes that we practice our pause and our resolve at the heart space, so that we allow every response as often as possible to be positive and loving and nourishing, and to seek the resolve within anything that comes up through love, because it will be there. Love will offer us the highest potential. That's the divine relationship. And to offer the aged, to offer the children, all of the families that you exist and co-create within. How are you feeling with? Is there anything you want to talk about? How can we talk about this? How are you feeling? Are you feeling safe? And have these communications that already begin healing, so that we're preparing ourselves and preparing that positive responsiveness as spirit for the collective needs. And not just assuming that other people are going to take care of it because it's outside our scope. It affects everybody at every level. And so it's just something that we want to start thinking about and preparing for. Because there's already, stories coming out from places around the world. And this often happens, I find, that when something big, I'm only speaking this way because of North America, but obviously it's because it's a global experience. Usually when something big occurs before North America, because of the population that is here and because of the, where we all sit within the world, there's little occurrences that happen everywhere else of the world first. As these are all very divinely timed from what the Pleiadians showed me, that there's these little leaks that come in little bit by little bit to prepare the collective, so that we honor it and we actually take that resolve and we actually do it in the highest capacity. So feel free to share these videos with as many as you feel, and start talking about it in the highest resolve that's mature and responsible in the emotional palette that we all have to experience, and do it from a manner that's responsible in how we respond and how we co-create with our vibration and how we create with the highest resolve for our collective socio-altruism. And we do it in a way that is honoring of all life, all source. It's all source. It's all source creator. And how can we honor this in the bigger picture and scope that it is source? As the masters would, we are. And to do it in a way that we're sharing and we're being proactive and being pro-service from our heart space. And really releasing and saying that was the way we used to react, charging up and, going up to government buildings. And we've seen that those experiences they don't create resolve. They just create greater security and greater separation. We want to create this from a place of love and compassion and highest resolve possible, so that we're infusing light, we're infusing our oneness, we're infusing the highest experiences for all, and start creating healing systems that can serve the greater good. And really perceiving it again, as we're looking through the telescope, are we perceiving it from the limited perspectives, or can we perceive it from that highest heart space? Because it will be a different view, and the answers will be different, because you're going to have a whole new solar system to look at, because that's consciousness. But it takes our intentions. Perspective is everything. We can't solve the problem from the middle of it, or, from the reactions we used to have, because it's just going to continue those types of experiences, which is fine, but we've come from there. It's time for us to step up into something different. And this is no different from what we go through individually. And as I said earlier, and I was asking my teams, well, how do I go through this? And they said, well, create that new entrainment. Like we've said, that infinity, that entrainment loop that we show on our Facebook. There was an illustration they gave me. And that's how you really shift your patterns as a full-time pattern of behavior, spirit. When you're entraining higher vibrational thoughts as often as possible, you're entraining that new vibrational pattern for yourself instead of returning back to the old ego reactivity. So that's really important as well. And we'll post it on our Facebook. So Joanna, Universal Love Light, our Facebook page, for those of you that want to see our illustrations. We hope that you've enjoyed this, just to be honoring of who you are, spirit, and everybody within the collective as spirit. They are all God. We are all God, preparing ourselves to meet other godly energies and families and celestial members in our collective that are beyond our atmosphere. They're still our collective family. They're still our beings. They're holy councils of light, the Andromedan Council of Light, the High Council of Night, all of the beings from the Holy Christ that assist me in allowing me to understand myself and allowing me to step out of some old patterns, so that I can choose to serve in the best way that I can. Goodness gracious, it's been so much trial and error. And of course, oftentimes more error than feeling good, you know, like, wow, I think I've got this. But they're saying that we've been behaving in 3D for thousands of years. So be gentle with yourself and allow spirit to guide you. So process your information from your heart. Breathe. Call up those energies that will be reacting to those experiences, because you'll have judgments, and those judgments are tapping to that experience that you had or you were able to clear. So allow that clearing, and then offer it to the Creator, and then say, what does that mean for me? And that's when you acknowledge and accept it and allow it to be something new for you, that wisdom, so that you understand how to process collective energy in a way that's healthy, in a way that's safe, in a way that's honoring the response of that spirit and soul for all. Because you will be those of us that are light workers, that are here as collective servers, teachers and healers, you will be processing for the collective. So it's important that we take that pause and we honor and respond in service, and respond in that heart space service. And then we start getting those really creative, those creative experiences where we're all starting to create these new systems now, where we're being a part of the healing process and co-creating a higher vibrational collective, so that less and less of those experiences occur, and changing the systems through great light and great compassion and great empathy. It's all source. So we thank you so much. And for those that would like to donate, our links will be down below. And we're going to get more illustrations on Facebook. So please feel free to join us there. And we thank you so much. We love you so much. Allow yourself daily care, so that you're processing what you need to process in a beautiful and safe and lovely way, so that you're honoring your emotional body, returning yourself to center, returning yourself to your clarity and confidence of who you are and what kind of reality you want to create, because your vibration matters. It creates matter. So we love you and we honor you, and we hope that you move forward in the highest, most loving and possible delight for you, that in your highest and best, and allowing all others to feel your loving vibration in doing so. And we thank you so much, and we love you. We rainbow you. Bye.